Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, What is SACNAS?, hosted by SACNAS and United Tribes Technical College in Bismarck, North Dakota. My name is Daryl Monto. I am the Native Initiatives Manager for SACNAS. I am also an enrolled member of the Kiowa Tribe of Oklahoma and also of Apache and Comanche descent. I also want to share that I am a tribal college alumni. I attended Haskell Indian Nations University and received my bachelor's degree, and I'm very appreciative of all of the opportunities that attending Haskell and being a part of a tribal college afforded me throughout my academic journey. I would like to introduce my fellow presenters today. We have with us Anna Bonson, who is the Tribal Science Outreach Coordinator for the Intertribal Research and Technical Center located at United Tribes Technical College. We also have my colleagues, Daniela Bernal, who is the SACNAS Membership and Communications Manager, Eric Curiel, who is the SACNAS Chapters Manager, and our guest today, Alex Holder, who is a current SACNAS student member, a current Haskell student, and the current Miss Haskell. She's going to be sharing her experience as a SACNAS student member toward the end of our presentation. So again, I want to thank you all for taking time for joining us and being a part of this presentation. Today's webinar is an introduction for tribal colleges and universities and anyone interested in learning more about SACNAS. We understand that this is a busy time, and we will have this recorded webinar available on our SACNAS YouTube channel soon, and it will be available to share and for public viewing. This webinar came about after Anna and I were introduced. We had a couple of discussions about how we could get United Tribes students and faculty more involved with SACNAS. And we quickly realized that, if, Tribes is asking these questions, that there are probably other TCUs, tribal colleges, that have the same questions too. So we decided to coordinate and host this informational webinar. And we hope it provides our viewers with information and answers the questions of who we are, what we do, and how you can get involved. Please note, you will be able to ask questions at the end of our presentation. You are welcome to submit questions in the chat or the Q&A feature. We ask that you be respectful and polite with your comments in the chat as well. At this time, I would like to give Anna a few moments to share more about her program at United Tribes. And if you just give me one moment, I'm going to pull up her slide here. Okay, Anna.
Thank you, Dr. Monteau, and welcome everyone. I see in the chat some familiar names from United Tribes and from some of our other tribal colleges throughout the region. We have a few different STEM degree programs at United Tribes. Environmental science, computer information technology, pre-engineering, and sustainable ag. We also have a lot of active research projects going on. We do community outreach, and we have virtual STEM training workshops. So we invite you to check out our website, and we have some archived ones there, and stay tuned for a session that Linda Black Elk will be leading next month. So if you are interested in culturally important plants and the Native American Essential Understandings, she has a really exciting hands-on workshop series planned. So I'm just honored that Frida Gipp connected me with her sister, Daryl Monteau, because we're always looking for opportunities for our students and our staff. And we've heard of SACNAS, but we don't really know exactly what they offer and what they do. And so I'm, without further ado, just excited to learn from you all about how we can tap into your community and grow STEM opportunities for students, staff, and alumni.
All right, and with that, we will go ahead and get started with our presentation. If you just bear with me for a moment, I am going to share another slide. All right, so we're going to be giving you a general overview of SACNAS, who we are and what we do. And I apologize for the dog in the background. So we'll move on through here. At SACNAS, diversity, equity, and inclusion are not abstract concepts or buzzwords. They are values and the heartbeat of our program. They are part of our DNA as the nation's largest multicultural, multidisciplinary STEM diversity organization in the country. SACNAS creates space where our members, partners, and staff feel they belong and can embrace their intersectional identities. Our work is rooted in the pursuit of STEM excellence, with the knowledge that inclusion will advance discovery and promote access and opportunity in traditionally underrepresented communities. We have the largest STEM conference, the largest multicultural and multidisciplinary national student chapter network, and the largest cohort of diverse emerging STEM leaders. Our community spans college students, including community college level, through the professional level, STEM disciplines, ethnicities, backgrounds, and locations. Our name, which includes Chicanos, Hispanics, Native Americans, and Indigenous people, is a testament to our founding. SACNAS is a fully inclusive organization for any college student and above to join, for free even. Official numbers, just wanted to share a couple of things. Our community is growing, and we have served over 28,000, which includes approximately 8,200 plus members. We have 118 student and professional chapters nationwide. Our annual conference has about 5,000 plus attendees and is growing every year. Since 2009, we've trained 317 diverse emerging STEM leaders through SACNAS Leadership Institutes. 7,000 plus volunteer hours each year, and we are averaging right now 4 regional meetings per year, but those are going to expand here soon, those opportunities. At the time of SACNAS' founding in the 1970s, there were only a handful of Chicano and Native American scientists in the United States. Though the numbers have increased significantly, our communities are still vastly underrepresented in every facet of the science, technology, engineering, and mathematic fields. The US is falling behind other countries as we fail to prepare enough people in STEM fields to fill current jobs and to invent the future technologies and industries that will fuel our economy for generations to come. As the US population continues to diversify and our nation's position as a science and technology leader is challenged, it is clear that advancing the success of Chicano, Hispanic, and Native American indigenous scientists is a national goal worthy of significant investment. Our work is to achieve true diversity in STEM. True diversity means that the STEM fields, including its leadership positions, reflects our nation's demographics. The SACNAS conference, webinars, and events provide students with the mentoring-focused opportunity to present their scientific research and other critical skills to their education and career. Through a commitment to scientific exploration and excellence in all SACNAS programming, SACNAS promotes the highest standards, assuring that SACNAS scientists are prepared to excel in any environment. One student presenter said at a recent SACNAS conference, "At SACNAS, I recognize myself as a scientist, capable of successfully applying my knowledge, skills, and talents to improve the world we live in today. SACNAS helped me realize that one does not need to be a prodigy to be a good scientist. It mainly requires a lot of hard work, patience, and dedication." SACNAS has chapters in community colleges and four-year universities throughout the nation and provides year-round local support, encouragement, and leadership development for student scientists from underrepresented backgrounds. And later on in this presentation, Eric is going to share a little bit more detailed information in regards to chapters. The SACNAS chapter program has grown exponentially since its inception in 2003. We started with 3 chapters, and we are now at 118 nationwide. And we are definitely looking at increasing those numbers here in the next year. SACNAS leadership initiatives take scientists beyond the labs and into the halls of power to lead the way to better, stronger, and more inclusive science programs. SACNAS is committed to developing leaders, scientists at the cutting edge of their fields, as well as community leaders who pave the way for our next generations. SACNAS leadership initiatives include the Lytton Poudry SACNAS Leadership Institute and the Howard Hughes Medical Institute Advanced Leadership Institute. Participants focus on leadership development planning, training in social identity, diversity and leadership, and extensive community building. Alumni of these programs are now executive directors, entrepreneurs, senior scientists, emerging policy leaders, department chairs, and assistant deans across the nation. And our conference. I know that many of you probably, if you know about SACNAS, you know about our amazing conference. Through our annual conference and year-round activities, SACNAS is building a network that is innovative, creative, and powerful as well as inclusive. In 2020, at our 2020 conference, we had 5,765 total attendees. We also hosted 112 professional development, STEM symposia, and networking sessions. We had 345 exhibiting institutions and companies participate. There were also a total of 930 research presentations, and from that number, 742 of those were first-time presenters and 503 were first-generation college students. Isn't that wonderful? That's amazing. That's great. There were also 102 students recognized for research and presentation skills. We do give out awards to our students to recognize them for those achievements. Our chapter of the year in 2020 was San Diego City College. Our two distinguished awardees went to Dr. Lorenza Levy and Dr. Javier Rojo. And our two presidential awards went to Dr. Erica Camacho and Dr. Cristina Villalobos. I also want to share that we have a lot of cultural events and activities that are included throughout our conference. And I think that makes it very unique and very special to our membership. Last year, though we were virtual, we were still able to host a lot of things and get people involved. The powwow being one of our biggest events throughout the conference was held virtually, and we had a lot of fun with that. The other thing that I want to note about the conference is that, and about SACNAS, is that this organization truly values and appreciates our cultural identities, and they encourage us to always bring our whole selves into our spaces, and especially at the conference. So that's always really cool to see people that dress in their regalia, and it's really wonderful to see and to learn about each other's cultures as well. And as most of you know, especially those faculty that are viewing with us today, being a part of any organization, of course, provides a lot of opportunities, but networking is very key and very important with that. And so what we at SACNAS seek to do is connect students to role models and to opportunities. And from previous data, I just want to share that 93% of our students would like to be part of this community after the conference. We always see a huge jump in our membership after each of our conferences, and that's really great. That's good. And also 91% of students reported meeting people who can help advance them in their careers. Too often, Chicano, Hispanic, and Native American Indigenous students who are interested in STEM fields feel they need to leave their culture at the lab door. SACNAS helps scientists merge and integrate their complex identities. Again, we encourage everyone to bring their whole selves into their spaces every day. SACNAS works to create a new STEM environment where minority scientists don't feel they have to leave their cultures at the lab door. Rather, SACNAS helps diverse scientists merge and integrate their diverse identities, creating space to include the unique contributions and perspectives of all. SACNAS provides a home for people who want to advance their careers in STEM fields without losing their connection to their communities and cultures. And how important is that, especially being a Native American and Indigenous student, you know, to have that support and to have an organization that recognizes that, because that really is a big part of how we persevere. Through mentoring and cultural programs, SACNAS helps emerging scientists balance and align their commitments to their studies and their culture. SACNAS scientists demonstrate that Chicano, Hispanic, and Native American Indigenous scientists have what it takes to be successful in academia, government, and industry while maintaining pride in our heritage, integrity with our culture, and connections to our community. And so that wraps up the who we are portion of this presentation. And now we're going to get into some of our program areas. So I'm just going to share a little bit about the Native Initiatives program. So again, as I mentioned, I am the manager for the Native Initiatives program. And what we are currently doing is we are providing programming throughout the year for our SACNAS membership. And we've been very fortunate, especially in this last year, to be able to invite some amazing guest presenters to share their work and their research. Some of the most notable guest presenters that we had included Dr. Donald Warren, who is the director of NMED up at University of North Dakota. We also had a feature with Dr. Rosalind LaPierre, who shared her work, her research, and her work outside of academia, which is very interesting. And one thing to note, I know that we mentioned webinars and our SACNAS YouTube channel. I would really encourage anyone to go and view and to check out all of that amazing content. I mean, we've been so fortunate to host a lot of wonderful guests throughout the year. And we even have recordings from our conference featuring our keynote speakers. Amazing, amazing stuff. And in the conference, I also coordinate events for the Native American and Indigenous community. And I also oversee the Indigenous Marketplace and the powwow. And so with the conference as well, we've expanded some of our programming to include Red Table Talks. And I'm very happy to note that in 2020, we had 2 amazing guests come and join us and share their stories and their academic journeys. And that included Dr. Twyla Baker, who is the president of the Nuwata Sanish Hidatsa Community College in North Dakota. I'm sorry, I probably got that wrong. And then also Aaron Yazzie, NASA engineer, who was actually very involved with the most recent Perseverance landing. And so it was really great to hear their stories, and I'm just so thankful that they took time out of their schedules to be with us at the conference. And other things that we have going on, communication is very important, especially for our students in higher education. And if and when you become a member, or you may already, we are going to be launching our Native American Indigenous Community Group, where we will be sharing announcements and information that will be relevant to you. A lot of times I get time-sensitive information about passing along scholarships, fellowship information that is specific to our Native and Indigenous students. And so that's a good place, for us to share that information as well. And another thing that I wanted to know, we do conduct an annual survey, and that is our members' opportunity to provide feedback and to help us guide the programming and planning, for the next year. And so, this year we are looking at putting together and hosting some wonderful webinars and activities, and working with my colleagues, Daniela, Eric, Katharina, at SACNAS, we are looking at expanding that, and hopeful that we can reach more people throughout the year. And so what do we do next? This is an exciting time, a very pivotal time for our organization. And we are growing, we are expanding, and we are looking at, again, bringing in more members and also expanding our chapters. And so this is a great time to get involved and be a part of SACNAS. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Daniela, who will share about membership.
Thank you. Yes, so if all of that sounds exciting to you, which it does to me, the first step is to become a member. Joining us as a member is going to give you access to basically everything that Daryl is talking about. And I'll explain a little bit about the different options. But in general, when you join us as a member, what you're getting is access to this vast network of college students and professionals and mentors and role models in STEM. As Daryl mentioned, we have over 8,000 in all STEM disciplines across the country, in all places of their education and career journey, with a lot of advice and inspiration to share. And that community is available online, especially now. We have an online community, which Daryl also mentioned a little bit. You'll want to become a member so that you can get access on there. You can search a directory and really find people who share interests or disciplines or whatever it is with you. That's online. And then, of course, in person eventually. Hopefully, we'll get back to having access to that community through different events and, of course, the conference, as Daryl mentioned. So that's that first one. The second is when you're a member, you are eligible to apply for certain programs. especially for our students. We have applications opening on March 10th. And those are for if you would like to present your research at the national conference, or if you'd like to get a scholarship to attend the national conference that Daryl mentioned. So you do need to be a member in order to apply. So I would strongly recommend a membership for that reason, because those programs are really good opportunities to present your research on a national scale, to attend the conference and get to network again with all of these amazing members we have all over the country. And then the second is just getting access to all of this professional development. You'll get email invites about our webinars, about upcoming events, and opportunities from our partners, which we do have a career center. And if you're a member, you can get more direct emails about jobs and scholarships and opportunities coming up. So on the next slide, how you become a member. If you can switch the slide, Daryl. We have several options, and I'll keep going. We have several options. We have there is a free option, as Daryl mentioned. This is called the SACNAS level. That's how we refer to our members. That one is free. You can sign up and you can log on to the online community. You can see what people are talking about and look at the groups and join a chapter, which Eric is going to talk about. And so that is the free one with some basic benefits. Then we have the next level, which is a student membership. That one is $10 per year. And that's the one that you will need to have if you'd like to apply for the research presentations and scholarship applications. Again, that's opening on March 10th, but you can sign up for your membership now. And you can even see all that application information on our website now. So I'd strongly encourage that one. And again, because that one does have annual dues, you could talk to, if you're a student, you could talk to your mentor, your professor about supporting those dues for you. And then for any professionals we do have professional memberships. And the benefit there is access to eligibility to apply for our professional programs. So as Daryl mentioned, our leadership institutes. So we have a couple different membership options for professionals. They're all an annual due, and they're all on our website. Some of them have varying benefits. So you'll want to go to sacnas.org/memberships to check all of those out. And basically you'll just click that little yellow button that says become a member. And then you can select which one you'd like and then create your profile. And then once you create your profile, that's where you get to put in all that very specific information about you. And what I really recommend is putting as much information in there as you're comfortable sharing, because the more you put out there, the more people can get to know you, and the more SACNAS can get to know you and see how we can better serve you and send you exactly what you're looking for. So I see the links in the chat, but if you have any questions about that, you can take them at the question time. And with that, I'll pass it over to Eric, who's going to talk about a big benefit of, like I said, all the membership types that I mentioned. Even if you're a free member, you can be part of our chapter community.
Thank you, Daniela. Okay, so yeah, I want to talk about SACNAS chapters. They're essentially, being part of a chapter is an additional way to be engaged with the SACNAS community. As Daryl mentioned a lot, like one of the big emphasis of SACNAS is community. So with our SACNAS chapters, they're a powerful and inclusive source of community that provides local and regional support for college students and professionals to succeed in STEM. We have 118 student and professional chapters, and our student chapters are really in our colleges and universities across the country. So really the main two components or reasons that students really join our chapters are for that supportive community and for professional development to help them succeed in their careers. Um, Specifically, some examples of supportive community, right? We have chapters that, I guess before I start here, I do want to emphasize that a lot of these activities that I'll be talking about in this slide and the next one are events that ideally happen in person when it's safe to do so, but it's also possible to do virtual currently now with the situation that we're in. But I'm really encouraged to see chapters doing this in the future, even after we have the opportunity to be back in person, because as we've learned being virtual is that you have the capability to reach out to other resources that you normally don't have when you're in an in-person setting. So just wanted to throw that out there, that a lot of these things that I'll be talking about is ideally you can do them in person and virtually, but some of them include chapters typically kick off their semesters or quarters with welcome socials that they typically have to essentially welcome new chapter members with that community that you have within your college. Other chapters celebrate like transfer students, so they'll have like coffee and tea socials with them. A big component is really tutoring and mentoring. So some of our chapters offer specific tutoring to classes that a lot of their students are participating in, and maybe there's some of those challenging STEM courses that students just need a little bit more support. So they typically reach out to other students who have already succeeded in those classes to help with tutoring. Mentoring is another big component that our students benefit from being part of a chapter. And this can be either getting mentoring from a professional, faculty or staff, or even peer-to-peer mentoring, right? So it's students mentoring other students, which is always really beneficial. Um, our chapters also talk about the importance of mental health, especially now that over this past year where a lot of people have to be a little bit more kind of isolated in a virtual environment. I think that's a really big component that I wanted to highlight. And really also a lot of the activities that they do also are meant to be fun and engaging. So a lot of them also don't just focus on like the class or professional development stuff. They also try to really connect with each other and host game nights and trivia nights, which really kind of helps with the stress that a lot of people are facing. So on the next slide, I talk about professional development being another big component of why people join our SACNAS chapters. Some examples of different things that students typically learn is diverse career paths. So basically just learning depending on what STEM field you're in, is seeing kind of what options you have, right? Whether it's after your bachelor's degree, after an associate's degree, after a PhD, you learn that there's basically a wide variety of options available for you. So it's not just you don't necessarily just have to go into academia after you graduate and get a job at a university or college, but you can learn from other industry or government jobs that are available. So a lot of chapters really kind of try to focus on inviting guest speakers and different career paths so that they are able to share that information with students and kind of just let them know what opportunities are available for them depending on what their interests are. An important thing is applying for grants and scholarships. So a lot of chapters share information, whether it's like the application process, the benefits of that, kind of the timeline of typically how long it takes. I know some chapters also kind of host like writing workshops, so they really help each other when they are applying for some of these opportunities. For example, I think I saw in the chat that Katarina, one of our colleagues, posted for upcoming travel scholarship opportunities for our national conference. So if you start working on those, you can help each other and basically read your drafts, get feedback on your applications. Super helpful. Obtaining research experience. So a lot of students, especially if they're first generation students, that might not be familiar with the research process. They really learn a lot from chapters because you're able to know essentially what research opportunities are available either at your local institution or other institutions that you could potentially visit, like during the summertime. There's a lot of research experience opportunities, like summer internships, or you may have the resources to do research at your institution. So just kind of learning about like what opportunities are available, how to get your foot in the door to actually become involved, because there are a lot of research opportunities for undergraduate students. So super important to kind of learn about that information. As I mentioned earlier, inviting guest speakers to serve as role models is one of the things our chapters do by inviting faculty and staff from their institutions or other local institutions. And that's typically in person, but then as I mentioned before, now being virtual, you can really invite guest speakers from really anywhere around the country. Similar to the writing workshops of the grants and scholarships, some chapters host workshops on preparing CVs or resumes so that when students are ready to transition into the workforce or apply to other programs that require a CV or a resume, that's super important. And then really presenting your research. So if you already have that experience of doing research, is helping each other by practicing your research poster presentations, which is definitely a big benefit of attending like either a regional meeting or the national conference. So a couple of last things I want to mention is a chapter directory that we have on our website. I highly encourage you to visit that page. You can see basically like a Google Maps of where all of the chapters are throughout the country. You can, depending on what your location is, you can kind of zoom in and kind of play around with that map. And I encourage you to really connect with chapters. Again, being virtual now, like you can connect to really any of these chapters. Once you click on them, you'll see like their contact information, like their email, social. So I highly encourage you, if you already use social media, is just search SACNAS on whichever platform you're using, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and you'll see like a bunch of different accounts for all of the chapters. I highly encourage you to check some of those out, and just so that you can kind of see some of the activities that chapters are doing, as you kind of get encouraged to hopefully start your own SACNAS chapter if there isn't one already at your institution. As I mentioned kind of like in the beginning of this segment, is that we really want all of our SACNAS members to be able to connect with each other and be part of the big SACNAS community. But it's always really important to kind of have that localized community at your institution with people that you can ideally see almost every day. So I highly encourage you to visit our website, sacnas.org/chapters, and there'll be a link on there for starting a chapter. Just very briefly, because we will have another webinar in early April to go more into details, but essentially you just need 10 students, 1 or 2 advisors that can either be staff or faculty to support your chapter. So if you feel like you have a group of 10 students, I highly encourage you to start a chapter if you don't already have one. If you're already part of another student club or organization, you can still be part of a SACNAS chapter. You can really be part of multiple chapters, and don't feel like you have to like compete amongst each other. I always highly encourage our student chapters to really collaborate with other student organizations on their campus, so that really you're able to get the most resources out of different organizations on your campus. And finally, I would just say, if you do have any general questions about chapters, please feel free to contact me. My email is chapters@sacnas.org. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you, Eric. I was a little bit slow on getting those slides changed up, but I just want to give a little time for folks to view this slide. And again, I just want to let everyone know that this is being recorded, and we will have this available on our SACNAS YouTube channel soon. So, all right. And so with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And at this time, I am going to introduce Alex Holder. As I mentioned before, she is a SACNAS student member and also a current student at Haskell New Nations University, majoring in environmental science. And so at this time, I'm going to give Alex a chance to share her experience as a SACNAS student member. And Alex, you can go ahead and take it away and give a little bit more information about yourself as well.
Ihani washte Tachoko Tawi Machiapi na Eas Washichuan Alexander Holder Machiapi, Malakota na Hochangada na Kirikirish na Northern Cheyenne na Sakin Fox, Wia Himacha. Chante washte nape chuzapi. Good morning, you guys. My Lakota name is Woman of Many Altars, and my English name is Alexandra Holder. I'm Oglala Lakota, Winnebago, Wichita, Sagging Fox, and Northern Cheyenne, and I shake all of your guys' hands with a good heart. So I'm here to talk about my experiences at Haskell and with SACNAS, and so I'm from the Lawrence community, so I've always been familiar with Haskell. And my mom actually works at Haskell, so I've been familiar with Haskell throughout my whole life. And I've come to realize once I started actually going to Haskell that it was a completely different experience from knowing Haskell and like kind of being in Haskell, but then being fully submersed in the Haskell community. Because growing up in Lawrence, it's a predominantly white town. It's somewhat diverse compared to other towns, but it's predominantly white. So I was always taught by white instructors. I think I've only had like one person of color for one of my instructors. And so going to Haskell was a complete culture shock. Being taught about our people by our own people, by people that look like me, that think like me. It was such a completely different experience from how I was taught in public school in Lawrence. And so that's one of the things that I'm really appreciative of being at Haskell is that, you know, you're immersed in the community. You're learning about different cultures, different tribes, and you'll be walking to class and then you hear someone singing at the gazebo, like a round dance song, or walking to someone's dorm in the evening and you hear some hand games going on. So it's just a completely different experience from anywhere else, I feel like. And we're very fortunate at Haskell to have that community, that strong sense of a family there. I'm in the cross country team, the women's cross country team at Haskell, and I think that's something that has also given me stability at Haskell, a sense of family and people that I can rely on while I'm there. While I was at Haskell, I was introduced to the Bridge program, and at the Bridge program, we were able to be introduced to SACNAS. And so last year, or I guess it'd be 2 years ago now, I was able to attend the conference at Hawaii. And it was such an amazing conference, and just seeing people of color, people that look like you, going into science, so many young people, it was such an amazing experience. And it really motivated me to, you know, keep continuing on my path to become a pediatrician, as to be a Native American woman in science. And so I think SACNAS is a really good place for young people to, you know, express themselves and see that their own people can do it. You know, our people can do it. And, you know, we need to see more people that look like us, that think like us within these positions that, you know, are predominantly white. And so that's why I'm so thankful for the SACNAS community and for the Haskell community for even allowing me to have these opportunities. So thank you.
Thank you, Alex, for taking time out of your day to be with us. And right now, we are willing to take questions. If anyone has any questions for our SACNAS organization, feel free to drop them in the chat, or you are more than welcome to use the Q&A feature. Or if you have a question for Anna or Alex too, you know, feel free. Again, we really appreciate everyone taking time out of your schedules to be with us. We felt that this, again, was an important presentation to host, to coordinate, Sometimes I feel as though, especially, being a Native educator, that SACNAS is still one of the best kept secrets in Indian country. I know, like, whenever I've gone to conferences, I've attended our partner organization ACES conference, and we've, set up in the booth, and people come by and they were like, well, I've never heard of SACNAS before. So again, we just really felt that this was something that we wanted to put together, when we wanted to share, and we do hope that this gets out. Being a part of the organization doesn't take much. We do have that free membership level for those that are wanting to join. We have, I would say, some amazing communication that goes out every month. And we have a small team, but I think that we do a wonderful job. Oh, so we have a question. First question, what do we do different than from what ACES does? ACES, of course, the American Indian Science and Engineering Society, has been around for a long time as well. And their focus is just a little bit different than SACNAS. ACES actually goes a little farther in the communities that they serve. They have a K through 12 component that they do a lot with, and that's great. That's wonderful. At SACNAS, we don't have that. However, we do encourage our chapters to work with K through 12 in their communities. I know that ACES does provide scholarships for students. They do have those scholarship opportunities. And again, for those of you that may be new to both organizations, they are definitely an organization to check out as well. And I know that in the future, SACNAS is looking at building upon that as well, and making those types of opportunities available, for our Native and Indigenous communities. Of course, that's going to be probably a little further out on down the line. But some other things, I believe that ACES is probably very well connected with corporate, and that's great in regards to, anyone looking for jobs outside of academia. I know that that's a big thing right now, and that's another area that we at SACNAS are wanting to help our membership, begin pushing, job opportunities, outside of academia and into, the private corporate sector as well. So those are just a few things, and that was a really good question. All right, we have a couple.
Daryl, can I just add one last thing?
Yes.
I know as ACES definitely has a major focus on engineering, we really focus on the broad spectrum of STEM. So a lot of our members are definitely also in like the biology, chemistry, physical science, mathematics, and technology as well.
We have another question. It says, is there a particular area of research that you will encourage for the research presentations? And I really wish Katya was on here. Eric or Daniela, do you have a response to that?
Yeah, I would just say that we do accept presentations for student presenters, and again, in all STEM fields. So we don't have a limitation of how many presentations get accepted per discipline. We encourage all STEM field students to submit their abstracts to present at the conference.
Great, thank you for answering that, Eric. This question is for Alexandra. What do you think SACNAS can do to reach more students?
I think it's more so about just getting the word out there. Especially at Haskell, we have a lot of like events going on, but only so many people find out about them. So I think it's more so just like getting the word out there, encouraging people to, apply to as a membership and everything, and just reaching communities like on the res and such like that, and just giving them hope that this is something that you can attend and it's fun, and you're also learning about what career paths you can take as an Indigenous person in science.
Great, thank you for answering that. Another question we have, and this one could go to either myself, Eric, or Daniela. I'm concerned about the timing of the SACNAS conference relative to the Falcon conference. Is that something that you are all aware of so that you do not overlap? And Eric and Daniela, do you have any thoughts on that?
I would just say that we are aware that also like a lot of our similar organizations like ACES, they're typically the majority of them in the fall time, so very similar timeline, and we are aware of that. I think a majority of that has to do with kind of having an emphasis on like graduate programs that which are a lot of the exhibitors that come to the conferences, and that kind of aligns with the timelines of usually when applications for those opportunities, as well as opportunities for applying for like summer research experiences. Those are typically kind of like in the December, like November through January timeline. So having a conference at the fall really helps with that. But I also just want to emphasize that we do offer other programming throughout the year, like the webinar series, including this one. So it's not just a national conference. So we still highly encourage you to engage with SACNAS. And if you are part of a chapter, essentially you'll have programming throughout the year as well.
That's a really good question. I know that as Eric mentioned, there are several conferences going on around the same time as ours, and I know that it's really important that organizations and societies get their information out as early as possible, and especially now due to this unprecedented time, a lot of groups have had to have moved to virtual conference. So again, we are mindful and we are doing our best, and we do realize that in the fall time, it comes down to choices for students in terms of like what conference they can attend due to their time and funding as well. So we are aware, and we do hope that we are scheduling our conference in a time that works for most. And moving ahead, looking forward, what was really cool about our virtual conference is that we allowed attendees to access the content for up to 3 months after the conference was held. And so, that was something that I felt was great, and something that we hope that we can do again, if that's the direction that we go. We're not sure yet. So we're still waiting to see about what the final decision is going to be for SACNAS. So just FYI.
I also wanted to add, Daryl, I encourage students, or really anybody who's kind of on that borderline of not really sure which conference or event in general to attend. I highly encourage you to, not just with the SACNAS membership platform, but like any other organization that you may be a member of. I know for us specifically, we have a online community kind of messaging board. If you have specific goals that you really want to get out of an event, like I highly encourage you to go onto that messaging board, kind of just ask the members like, hey, this is my goal that I would like to get out of an event. Do you think going to this particular event is going to really help me achieve that goal? And really just utilize those resources to kind of also help you hopefully make that decision of which event's going to be the best fit for you at that particular time.
That's really good advice, Eric. Thank you. All right, so we haven't received any more questions, so I think we will just go ahead and wrap this up. I want to thank our guests today and my co-presenters for, again, taking time out of their schedules to be here with us and to share information. And I believe my colleagues have left several links in the chat for people to go through, take a look at, and be sure copy and paste those that you can check out information about chapters, about membership, and even just about SACNAS in general. As I mentioned before, we will have this webinar available to view on our YouTube channel soon. And that is another place that I would encourage folks to go and visit and check out and look at all that amazing content that is there. So with that, we want to again thank our viewers for taking time out of their schedules, and we hope that you have a good rest of your week. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.